I think it's worth saying that when you came up with that UX is dead, like that was a fairly new thing. Like it was going around a bit, but not a lot. And now I think you said like there's a bit of discomfort about that now. Is UX dead now? Has it died?
It was, it was intentionally antagonizing. I wanted to, I suppose, poke a little bit at people that believed that UX was going to save, the way that we built products. And look, I mean, I think I was like 4 or 5 years into a UX career at that point. So, I certainly didn't know everything. In agile software development, we are collaborating very closely with a cross-functional mix and making decisions together. That's like the ideal. And at the time, Spotify model was all the rage, where you had like UX designers based on embedded in every squad. Debunked quite quickly, but the model still exists today. And my point was there that there's a collaboration around the decisions that we're making on what to build. You've also got, and that was really the starting point of like design systems, component libraries, that almost like a front end or full stack developing team are building. And actually, when I was working at Sky, which was probably just before this talk, so I had a lot of experience there that built into that talk. There was a team that were building components that a designer in a cross-functional product development team could just bring in. And there was very little UI thought required, because everything's now becoming standardized and a lot quicker to load, and that's all fantastic. But the standardization of experience was also happening at that point.
Mm,
So you could just grab things very quickly. You could just we were rapidly prototyping back then. We're
mm,
just dragging things in at very high fidelity UI,
mm.
getting it from customers, deciding things and going. And I think my point there was that there's starting to be, and that wasn't a positive thing to me, by the way.
Oh,
I
really?
saw these things as positive, but the rolling up of all of that together wasn't positive,
Mm,
because there's a degradation of experience thought. And
mm,
actually, and I kind of wish I'd spoken about this at that conference. I did an event a couple of like months before this, where I was saying, I wonder if product managers will evolve into like experience managers, or maybe that's what they should evolve into. And you would have a much more design thought to product management, which again, I think is something that we are quite missing right now. And regards to whether UX is dead, I think it's evolved, and I thought, to be honest, that was my point at the conference. I see so little really great user experience design being done at organizations now that are building products. I think partly down to um, designers in like 2017, 18 picked up the term product design, and that actually started off more as product people thinking more about outcomes.
mm.
That was a really good starting point. And now we have ended up in this place where product designer is almost like a full stack designer or something, where they're expected to do UI research, testing, user experience. You need to know how to use design systems, maybe a little bit of coding. And now, obviously, with AI evolving incredibly rapidly, now you're expected to know AI and data and this and that, and know everything. So product designer is almost a catch-all term for just someone who can do all of those things. And that
Yeah.
includes experience design. I think that's where we're seeing it disappearing.
I'm so glad that we're talking about this because it's been bugging me. It's really been bugging me. I feel like there's a sort of Jekyll and Hyde or Frankenstein view in the recruiting market right now
Mm.
around we don't like generalists. Generalists are bad. So if you've had a varied experience that might have been for 20 years or something like that, and you've taken a number of roles, that's sort of not really favored. What seems to be favored is they call it like I you know like product design, and they're saying they want all those skills, but the thing that they'll totally lead in on is Figma, and they'll
Mm.
totally lead on UI. They call it like taste. That seems to be the thing, the commodity that I'm seeing is kind of valued. And your CV and your portfolio isn't going hard on like design systems and UI, and it looks really polished. You're immediately junked out, and it's
Mm.
like. Really what it looks like to me is that they are looking for convergers. They're looking for people that can just deliver on a vision and can just knock out designs. And so, like, for me, that's sort of a bit like a UI designer, really. What about facilitating workshops? What about dealing with difficult stakeholders? What about resolving conflicts? What about sense making really complex systems and data? I can't understand how someone can accrue all of that and be really good in Figma and deep in Figma and be really good in the tech, side of it as well. Like, do those people exist?